All right, and we are live. So, as you guys start to pile in, hey Graham, what's up? As you guys start to pile in, those of you that chose to join the links or to the hangout with the live link I presented on Patreon, we'll chat towards the end. I got a few questions here. I guess the first thing that I'll say while you guys are coming in, again, thanks for your support and helping me create this work and all that sort of good stuff. I posted on the page, I don't know if you guys wanted updates on the TRT stuff, and I just got prescribed test SIP, so I'm going to learn how to get stabbed with that tomorrow and go forward from there, and we'll see what those results look like. It'll probably be about sounds like about a month and a half before I'll get some kind of definitive feel for it. But yeah, looking forward to see what that looks like. It's, at 44, your test levels just keep going down. They haven't gotten any better. The things that had improved was everything else. So insulin, all the other markers are great. It's just, the test levels don't go up taking DHEA. So going to give it a shot and see what it looks like. So that's the update there. I don't really have anything beyond that because I know a few of you guys asked about it, but I'll certainly, after about a month or a month and a half passes, I'll give you some more feedback and a loop on what that looks like. I did have a guy targeted off Twitter that has some experience with TRT, and he published a book. Let me just see if I grab his name. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it if you've ever heard of him. It's Jay something or another. What the hell is his name here? Jay Campbell. He's got a Twitter handle, TRT Expert. Apparently put out a book. I've seen him interviewed on a few other pages, so I'm going to see if I can get him on to talk about that, because I think it's something that matters a lot for guys that are, in need of it. I mean, my doctor was telling me today he's got a client that's 28 years old. So, it's not limited to guys over 40 apparently, but we'll see what that looks like. All right, let me hop into the questions here as you guys are coming on, and I'll deal with those because I know a bunch of you guys watch the recording later. First one is from Morid, and he says, what kind of strategy should somebody use for book writing? How he can take plans around his daily life to be successful and motivate? How you prepare yourself before you start an interview or a video? Okay, there's a few questions there. So how do you write a book? I've only written 2 books, and I'm working on this third one. The 2 books are on Amazon. You can look it up. It's Richard Cooper. They're just books on credit card debt relief. Not very interesting or fun or sexy stuff, but if you got debt, it'll help you get out of it. But the strategy or the plan that I was taught to use was basically the main ideas. You're going to turn them into chapters. So for example, the book that I'm working on right now, I'm working on kind of an introductory chapter about the nature of the world that we live in today, the feminine primary social order, and why we live in that world. And then there's going to be chapters following that on different topics. So you basically lay out all of your chapters. I'm using Post-it notes. I've got it worked out on kind of this wall in my other room over there. Let me just kind of show you how I use Post-it notes a bit, because I kind of tag ideas down and I'll be able to peel them off the wall and reorganize them. So I tend to use Post-it notes for the different chapters, and I'll kind of move them around and figure out what it needs to look like and break it down from there. And I just write the ideas in the chapter. I think you need about 2,000 words a chapter. It should usually get you up to it. So if you're writing 10 to 12 chapters, it'll be a 200-page book. But you can reverse engineer it depending on what you're doing. How to take plans around his daily life to be successful and motivated. How to prepare yourself before you start an interview or a video. So before I do an interview, I want to know who I'm talking to and what their line of work is, what their expertise is, have a little bit of insight. I'll Google them. I'll look for other interviews they might have done on YouTube, maybe watch a few of them and take some notes. And how do I prepare for my own videos? It depends. If I'm doing it here in my home office, I usually have talking notes, whether it's handwritten notes or something on my screen that I've broken down points that I need to cover. If I'm doing the longer form videos for Patreons, the ones that run for 30 to 40 minutes, like deeper stuff like plate spinning strategies and why you should track your girl's menstrual cycle and stuff like that, I've got very specific notes and stuff that I want to hit. Quite often when I'm doing stuff in the car, it's just off the cuff. I just have an idea. I might respond to a question or read a question off, and then it's just drive. And I tend to kind of think clearly when I'm doing that driving. So that's worked out well for me, but that's how I do that. Robert says how to avoid waking up several times a night. I did a video on that. It's on the channel. Just search the channel. I think there's like 9, or I posted it on the Facebook page if you're there as well, Robert. So you can check it out. It was posted this week. But lots of good tips there on getting better sleep. Your second question was how do you provide value up front to B2B clients in order to win them over when you reach out to them and they don't know you? I know you prefer inbound marketing, but I want to do outbound. I think we should talk one-on-one about that, Rob, because that's like, I know what you're getting at because we had a clarity coaching call, but it's difficult to be specific unless you have dialogue on that. So like private message me on Patreon and maybe we'll set something up. How would you sell a consulting service in 2018, given that you don't have the following social media yet? You have to build it. You just have to build it. You have to put in the time and create the content. But it has to be relevant to the industry that you're in. There has to be something interesting for people to follow. Social media is about being social. And if you're not giving them something interesting to talk about, they're not going to follow what it is that you're talking about. So I'll give you a really good example with my debt relief business. There's nothing sexy, fun, or shareable about talking about debt. People just don't. I've tried every angle on it and it just doesn't get shared. I think it's the equivalent of talking about erectile dysfunction because it's something private that people don't want to talk about. It's the same thing with debt. So there's certain things that you're not going to get, sherry, but Ryan Halliday said something very profound one time to me. And he said that if you want to get something to move around, the social media space, basically, you have to give people something worth talking about. So if you use that kind of like a litmus test to sort of filter what you're creating, then that'll probably be a lot more useful. Cliff, what was your journey like from blue pill to red pill in regards to learning how to see things with a red pill lens? I'm learning. Okay, let me deal with that. It's intense, man. It really is intense. It takes time. Some people get into like the rage category. Some people move very smoothly through it. It was more smooth for me than rage. But you just have to keep looking for answers and understanding and dealing with things. And it's like the dots just connect and it just becomes so organic and easy to flow. But you have to keep at it. Like you have to keep checking yourself. We did a live broadcast a couple of weeks ago with Rollo's Red Man group sort of set up on my channel. I think one of the questions that came up is, do you ever default back to your blue pill conditioning? And pretty much everybody there said yes. Me included, Rollo and everybody else has to check themselves. So you got to just understand that, if you've been operating with a blue pill lens for 30 years and you unplug and you want to update your belief system and become better, even if you've been good at it for 2 or 3 years, you're still going to find yourself reverting back to, old beta habits that don't serve you. I had a coaching call this morning with a guy for about an hour. That's one of I think he's tier 5 Patreons. Awesome dude. And, it's one of the things that we spent a lot of time on. Is just have to keep yourself checked and make sure that you're moving towards more awareness and becoming better. I'm learning how much stuff to do to clean out my head. Let's see how it's going to be work. I'm going through the books you recommended. That's always a good journey. Working on frame knowledge and physical aspects of my life. I know this journey is going to pay dividends. Absolutely. Keep that going. Sorry, I didn't turn on my headphones yet. I didn't realize that. So just stand by with the muted mics and we'll do some chatting back and forth in a minute. Cassio, I'm a 25-year-old single father, victim of baby rabies. Wow, you got nailed early, eh? You said before that a girl's SMV would decrease at 1 point per child she has. Yeah. So I did this video. It was kind of a takeoff of the Hot Crazy Matrix. And my theory is if a girl's like an 8 out of 10, for every kid she has, she's going to drop in SMV by a minimum of 1 point. It's going to be hard for her to get above where she's at with that sort of baggage. So it's minimum 1 point. So you should check that video out. It's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, if she's got problem children with baggage, fighting with the ex over money or custody, it could be 2 to 3 points per kid, but minimum one point. So that's what he's referencing. Does it apply to men as well? That's an interesting question, actually. Does a guy's SMV go down when he's got kids versus a woman? And I'm going to say yes and no. It really depends on how you position yourself. I was talking to another guy this morning about this, actually. So my view on men versus women, that have kids. And of course, I'm so biased because I'm a dude, so it's going to come off slightly different. So I'm going to try to do this as humbly as possible. But um, men don't ruin their body having kids. Men usually have more money than women, provided they didn't get divorced, right, or they found a way to protect their assets. Men can't get pregnant. Men aren't as emotional as women. So I would suggest that your value should be higher, but the problem is women don't see it that way. Women have their own measurement scale in their head. I mean, all a woman has to do, I mean, you've got single moms out there that are like a 5 out of 10, but they'll go post a couple of really well-lit photographs in nightclubs or in the right outfit with Spanx on, sucking it all in, post it to Instagram and get 200 likes and think that they're a 10 out of 10, right? So just because, you know, my lens views it that way, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to see it the same way, but that's just how I view it. And it's pretty much why I tend to avoid them on a long-term basis. It's, you know, I just look at them as a short-term dating prospect, and that's it. All the girls I date, 21 to 24, seem to be really surprised that I'm a father. I mean, most guys under 25 don't have kids, so that's not shocking, right? And I feel they avoid me when they discover it. I wouldn't be surprised because I avoided all women that had kids when I didn't have a kid. I mean, when I was dating without a child, I completely avoided them. I would just skip them. So it's, you know, it doesn't shock me. Now I'm done with this and instead chasing women. I'm trying to focus on career, fitness, health, and my appearance. Can you give me perspective on this? Well, kind of covered it there for you. I hope that helps. I'm going to turn it over to everybody that's on right now. So if you want to take your mics off mute, you want to shoot the shit about some stuff, let's hop into what you got going on. How's everybody doing? Let me get rid of my tea here, my tea bag. I'm going to tea bag my tea bag. All right, guys, what the fuck's going on? Take your mics off mute. What's happening?
Hey, Rich, what is up?
What's up, Jan?
Yeah. It's 4 a.m. here, as always.
Good to see you. What's happening in Israel, my brother?
You know, the regular situation with Syria and everything, and Trump making muscles. So we're waiting to see what everything is going to about.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what's happening in Syria? Because I don't follow the news. I mean, I just get, you know, like a little bit of snippets. I mean, it's kind of in your backyard. So what's happening there?
Well, actually, civilian airplanes are changing their courses over Cyprus in order to avoid any tension that should be around this area. And besides that, it's very silent. We do hear people that from the northern part of Israel, we do notice lots of bangs and airstrikes over Syria, but in our this is pretty much the situation. We're waiting for the weekend to see what all of the coalition forces are going to do, actually.
And I guess the Israeli military can mobilize at any time because men and women are required to answer the call when it's put out, right?
Well, I'm actually served in the paratroopers in Israel, so I did a service. I think I'm in the reserves now, but I did a month ago 1 week of preparing for, just training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just everybody's cool with that, and everybody's ready. So no special tension. It's a very special situation here in Israel, so we don't consider the news like something special. We're always ready,
Yeah, that's cool. What's everybody else up to?
G'day. The microphone working?
How you doing?
Hey, good. So yeah, this is Graham. So I'm doing a bit of side business outside the Monday to Friday work, and I've got a couple of people asking about them offering like brokerage fees, like sort of like a finder's fee for jobs that I do. I basically do tech support. And one guy basically said, he wants 20% of whatever I do with a contact that he passes on. And I was just wondering, like, I'm going to assume over time that my company will come up in the Google search anyway, basically below his. And after theoretical customers get sick of his work or job, they'll call me anyway. So I was thinking of just blowing him off completely because he doesn't seem like he's that large in the local business anyway.
Doesn't sound like you need him to begin with.
No, no, I don't. But I was just wondering about the occasional, like, big client, big fish. You know, he might pull in a few $1,000s from some remote customer. So maybe even once a year, it might be worth giving him a cut of someone that I wouldn't have got.
Well, is it just a straight commission, like a 20% commission?
Well, that's what he was suggesting, but I was going to just offer back to him. If the job's big enough, I'll decide on how much you get. Because my
Right.
assumption is after they Google him, call him and say, well, you can't do what we need, well, they'll Google the next person in the list, which would probably be myself.
Well, a percentage deal is always the best way to go because they got skin in the game, and there's no cost until they lock down the client and the work comes in. So, um, doesn't sound like it's that trivial of a matter, really. To be honest with you, it sounds like it's fairly. I mean, how much of this uh, like annual cash flow that you're bringing in is going to be dedicated to what this guy does or is capable
Oh,
of doing?
very low, very low. Like if he pulled in 5 jobs at 1,000 a piece, he'd only be getting a fifth of the whole lot anyway. So he might get 1,000 of the 5,000, but um, yeah, I'm just not sure whether to completely blow him off and say I'll dictate terms if you get anything, or whether to just sort of say, look, when a job big enough comes up to worry about commissions, we'll talk about it then.
Does he bring any skills to the table that you don't have?
No, just purely a contact.
Yeah.
His business has been around for many more years, so he might have bigger and longer contacts with bigger companies and bigger grants and bigger amounts of money.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's that significant. I wouldn't put too much into it. I just kind of say, look, if you got something, talk to me then.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Who's got this red Hemi? What is that? A Barracuda or something there in that picture? Jeremy? What is that? I'm just looking at your avatar picture.
That's my Scat Pack
How
Charger
do you, how do you like
Challenger.
that?
It's no M5, but I mean it's 500 horse. It runs pretty good.
That's pretty good. Is it supercharged?
No, it's 6.4 liter, 392 naturally aspirated.
Oh, it's all motor then.
Yeah.
Naturally aspirated is one of my favorites. One of the
Yeah.
reasons why I'm never going to sell my R8.
Yeah. I mean, I know you like the waist gated or the gated manual, but I went with the 8-speed automatic.
Yeah. I had a M235 loaned to me last week. I actually did a video on it. I didn't publish it yet, but really like that thing. It's 332 horsepower, 8-speed auto, kind of packaged together, works really nice in a tight little car. I was actually thinking about this car with a Dyne and Tune and a limited slip rear differential in the back would be a lethal little weapon because the M5's coming up. I got it up for sale actually right now. It's getting up over 100,000, and when things start breaking after that, it costs too much money. So I'll probably get rid of it if I can find the right buyer. Actually thinking about getting a more simpler vehicle that takes up less space in the garage and isn't as expensive to run too.
I hear you. Yeah, I went to my kids, like I don't know if you remember, but we talked about my kids live 700 miles away, and I went and got my daughter last week, traveling from Pennsylvania to South Carolina, and it was great. It got 24 mile a gallon, and it's just that's why I didn't go with the Hellcat,
Yeah,
but
that's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, I get like 20, 22, 23 with the M5 if I'm lucky going downhill with the wind behind me.
Yeah, I mean that's running 80, 85, the, through the mountains of West Virginia. I don't know if you've ever been through the mountains.
Yeah, I love man, West Virginia is gorgeous in the summertime. I drove through there, like actually did it with my ex-wife when we were engaged. I drove down there to pick up a hardtop for my 2003 M3 because it was it in DC? No, it was in Virginia. It was in, I want to say Richmond. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the
Yeah.
capital.
Yeah, man. That's where I went to pick up the hardtop, and I just kind of drove down, basically strapped it on the car. I went through customs coming back. They're like, "You got anything to declare?" I'm like, "Yeah, nothing."
Yeah.
What you see is what you get, man. This was in the car before.
Yeah. I did buy some new rims and tires for it last week. I'm hoping to get there. First gear is non-existent, so I went and put some 305s on it on the back, and
Yeah.
it decided it's snowing today, so I can't wait to get it out and try it out.
Good times, man.
How do you keep your car from falling to shit in the snow? And I see you driving your M5 all the time.
Yeah.
And it looks clean. I mean, I'm just saying,
They sell
take
they
this thing out
sell
around the block one time and it's rusted to fuck the next day. It's just I don't know how you do it.
Well, it doesn't rust. I mean, any car made after about 2006 or 7, I think it was, most car companies switched over to double-sided galvanized steel in their manufacturing, either that or aluminum, which doesn't rust either. So the chances of any car built in the last 8 to 10 years of rusting is really slim. But all I do is I just get the car wash passes from the gas station, and it's like I can't remember what the cost is, but you get like a 90-day pass, and you can wash the car once a day. So I have my company pick one up, and I just share it with my brother. He's got it for a day, and I grab it the next couple of days. It gets run through the car wash like once or twice a week, so it's always clean.
Good deal.
But we get shitloads of snow here, and it's not the best car in the wintertime, even with snow tires. It's really hard to get any traction, even when it's detuned with the 560 horsepower setup.
Yeah. Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah. What's shaking with you, Marcus?
Not much. Been let's see. Been taking your advice. I got working out again. I just started walking in my prosthetic legs, so I think that's helping a lot with just everything. And I just today finished your video about blood levels.
Oh yeah, the first one that I did back in December, right?
The latest one. It was like 45 minutes long.
Okay, yeah. So that was actually one from December. So that was the first set of blood work that I did. So everything actually came back good with the blood work on all the levels. The insulin level actually improved. Everything else improved except for testosterone, DHEA, and everything that's tied into it. It just hasn't gotten any better with the supplements that he's prescribed. So I got Test Sip here sitting on the corner of my desk. I got to go in tomorrow. He's going to show me how to stab my ass with it.
Cool. Yeah, it's great information. I mean, I'm not sure what my testosterone level is right now, but I'm sure I have been eating a bunch of garbage that I could improve on. So,
how old are you?
28.
Yeah, you should be okay still. I mean, he said his youngest client is actually 28, but he's got one of those rare conditions where his client's testes aren't pumping out the juice, so he put him on Test Sip as well. But I mean, most guys start looking at it around 39, 40, is what I'm told. So I actually pushed it back quite a bit. I was watching a bunch of videos in the last month on TRT and TOT. There's a guy that I mentioned early on at the start of the live broadcast. I'm going to try to get on. I still got the tab open here. His name is Jay Campbell, and he's on Twitter as a TRT expert. Wrote a book. He's 57 years old. The guy looks great. And he talks a lot about self-care and the things tied into that. So I'll probably reach out to him and see if I can get him on for a longer talk, maybe like a full presentation, and see what his thoughts are. But I'm interested, man. It's pretty cool stuff.
Cool.
We'll see what it does in the long term.
I actually went after your video, after the testosterone video that you gave for Tier 3 Patreon, and I actually went and did a test.
And what'd you find out?
Pretty good results, but I was just exiting a long-term relationship, which I most likely affected my testosterone levels. And I'm 28, so since now, every year I'm going to check up my testosterone levels, and for that I'm very thankful for you, because it's a very important thing.
Yeah, well, check all the markers. Hold on a second. I'm just going to grab the printout because I got all the markers. Hold on. I'll do a bit more of a in depth once I'm on the injection for about a month and a half or so. But this one here is 1, 2, 3. It's 4 pages long, and I don't know how much blood they took out, but it felt like about 15 or 16 vials. The follow-up one 90 days later is only 2 pages long, and they were mostly looking to track things like hemoglobin, insulin levels, tumor markers. Like tumor markers, one of the things that they look for, for prostate cancer in men. So markers that might signal that you might have like a prostate issue or enlargement of prostate. And then they check things like estradiol, DHEA, and bioavailable testosterone. And then vitamin D, which is, of course, for bone markers. And this one here is much more comprehensive. So if you do one of these, like probably once every couple of years, where they check everything, lipids, potassium, creatine, creatine supplements will show up in here. Like my creatine was like right at the upper limits because I take creatine supplement daily. So one of the things he told me there is, keep track of it every 6 months, but you don't want it to get too high because it starts to stress your kidneys. Globular filtration rates, things like blood thickness, lipids, thyroid function, pituitary function, adrenal function, tumor markers, for prostate stuff. And then they get into all the hormone things like estradiol, DHEA, testosterone bioavailability, and vitamin D, and dihydrogenase. DHT is basically what it is. But you track those. Like I've only got 3 of these now. And the first one that I did was about 4 years ago. And that was around the time that I was dating that single mom. And I was having all kinds of problems with her and her kids were behaving like assholes. And one of the things that I noticed, there's a stress hormone called cortisol, I believe it is. Where the fuck is it? Cortisol. Yeah. So there's a stress hormone called cortisol that your body releases when you're stressed. You have basically threats in your life, and then you release this hormone because it helps you basically centralize your functions away from non-essential shit like digestion and things like that. So you don't want high cortisol levels. I mean, typically your cortisol levels kind of like wake up when you wake up in the morning too. So with your circadian rhythm, like as you start to wake up and the sun comes up, that's usually when they start to peak. But I noticed that my cortisol levels post that relationship actually went down quite a bit. They went down by about 40%. So stress can have an impact on all your blood markers, and it's not necessary. I mean, I guess taking the red pill kind of woke me up a little bit more, and maybe, my levels might be a little bit better, as a part of that as well. But I was actually pretty surprised to learn that my cortisol levels went down quite a bit a couple of years after that fucking nightmare I was living with that single mom. But yeah, stay on top of it, man. Yeah, and there's no need to cycle, as Jan was saying. You just take 5 milligrams a day, and you're good to go. Ben Greenfield talks about it quite a bit on his podcasts and the articles that he published. And creatine is a great supplement. It's something that you can pretty much take for the rest of your life. It doesn't hurt your body. It's found naturally in things like meats and stuff like that. Animal protein. So it's totally fine. And it has a lot of positive effects on your body. Actually, one of the things that I made a note of with Jay Campbell, he talks about TRT, but he also talks about Cialis being really beneficial for guys in like very low dosages. I think it's because of nitrates. I'm gonna see if I can grab his book and get some more information on the stuff that he publishes. But he's got an interesting approach to all that sort of stuff. So I want to see what he knows about it. Alpha Destiny. I'll add that right now. Cool. All right. Just making a note right here. Bookmark that shit. Thank you for that. So what else is going on with you guys? You got any questions tonight or anything else you want to talk about while I'm on? I got about another 20 more minutes before I got to hop off. I'll probably do another one of these in a couple weeks. I'll move it up so the guys across the pond have to wake up at 4 a.m. I know there's a few people in Europe as well. You guys good?
Yeah, nothing comes to mind.
All right. Well, I guess with that being said, we will wrap it up. I got all the questions answered that came up. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything or nobody posted anything while we were chatting there. That's new. No, it's just those ones. Okay. So yeah, got those all answered. Keep an eye out for the new one that I'm going to put out in a couple weeks. I'll announce it on Facebook and also link it on the Patreon page. But yeah, we'll do another one kind of earlier in the afternoon when I got some time to catch the people on the other side of the pond. So thanks for hopping on. Shoot me a message if you got anything that comes up in the meantime, but I'll see you guys in the next one then. All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
See you guys later. Peace out.
Bye-bye.